Welcome to the most overrated, underappreciated, most viewed, underviewed podcast of all time. Welcome to the Prince of Fresh Air. I am the most charismatic man. I hope everybody's having a great day, great week. I have a couple things I want to share before I bring on my guests. But like I said, first thing, I hope everybody's having a great week and a great day. Besides Tom Cruise, and I say that because 10 years ago when we was in high school, me and my next guest, who I'm gonna bring on, we was in high school together. And I remember one day after school, I went to the AMC theaters in 60 something Street, Manhattan. And I saw Tom Cruise, short guy, great guy, but he was pretty short. I was taller than him at this time. And I remember, talking to him. He was on the street. I think they was doing like this little event. And he told me that he would give me a role in Mission Impossible. Now, Tom Cruise, if you're listening, because I'm sure you are, buddy, it's been 10 years. I see Dead Reckoning Part 1 is coming out. When am I getting my due? My manager will be reaching out to you. So if anybody part of Tom Cruise team hears this, the most charismatic man is looking for him. I'm just playing. I do have though. My podcast, which is now on the website IMDb, which is the International Movie Database. And I just ask anybody who's a fan of this podcast, or even if you hate me, go over there, check it out, leave a review, because it's important for not only the podcast, but for me, and also for everybody too, that, we show the world what they're missing. Anybody who's not listening, they're missing an experience. They're missing a family, a team of people who enjoy this podcast. And, I just want to share it with the rest of the world. Now, that was a mouthful. Like I said, I have a guest coming on who I'm sure she's been waiting to come on. Like, I normally charge people $5,000 to come on the platform, inflation, but I made an exception for this one. She's a awesome human being. Like I said, we went to high school together. It's been a while since I've seen her. But she has her own YouTube channel, Healing with Becca. That's right. Her name is Rebecca, but you know how you see that's clever. She got Becca instead of. I see what you did there. And like I said, mental health is a big thing for her. We're going to talk about a lot of things, and it's great to have another woman on this podcast. But because for a while I only had men, so it's nice to break up that sausage fest. But welcome, Rebecca. Welcome, Rebecca, to the podcast. How you doing, Rebecca?
Hello, friend. How are you? I am blessed. I am productive. I am busy. I am growing and I am healing. That's how
That's
I'm doing. How you doing?
and that's I would say I'm healing, but with inflation, I'm far from it. I'm living American broke dream right now.
As of right now, a bunch of people are. And let me just say, I'm gonna give you your motherfucking roses, my guy. Cause black man, this is great representation. I love this for you. And you worked so hard to get here. And I'm not proud of you because I didn't do anything to help you get here, but I take pride in being a part of your process. So thank you for having me. And let's talk about it. What we talking about?
I appreciate. You know what? I think she's giving me that compliment because I weighed that 5,000. No, I'm kidding. I appreciate. No, I appreciate that. It's definitely a journey that the other day I was thinking. I was just I was walking in the city, and I was thinking about that. Like I came a long way, and it's been a journey that I would have never envisioned. I never thought this podcast would be a thing. I never thought that I'd be doing this, or it has became as popular as it has. So I take great pride in that, and I appreciate that. Thank you. You still owe me, so don't no.
Okay.
Let's get into it though. Like I said, I like having females, women. Let me clarify myself, women, because there's certain topics that it's always nice to get the other, genders respects and opinions on it. But before that, like I said, you have your own YouTube channel, Healing with Becca. So what is that about, and how did you get into mental health?
Okay. So My channel Healing with Becca is about bringing awareness to the Black community. Like, it's okay to say that you need help. Like, the fact of the matter is Black people have a hard time asking for help. Even people of color, Hispanics, period, point blank across the board, people of color have a hard time asking for help because in our mind, we don't have these issues. We're stronger than these issues. But the fact of the matter is so the first series that I have up now that I'm promoting right now is called The 5 Stages of Grieving. And everybody grieves. So I started there. You know, everybody
Right.
grieves and everybody grieves differently. So for me, it was COVID, it was life. You feel me? Like, I mean, like life. It
Yeah.
was really heavy stuff going on. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not where I was, but I'm having a hard time receiving where I am. So
Mm,
I had to take a step back and realize, Rebecca, you're grieving a lot of stuff and you haven't given yourself the opportunity to acknowledge that. I always used to say, oh my goodness, I used to say all the time, I can grieve about it later. Right now, I got to work. And it's a mindset that was embedded in me. It wasn't
mhm,
even anything that I thought about. I was just like, if I take the time to grieve, I'm gonna just stop. So I had to look into becoming self-aware, living in my conscious mind and not my subconscious mind. And these are up and coming episodes that'll be on my YouTube channel. So if you into the getting to understand yourself so you can receive others for who they are, start with the grieving process. And I got that out the way. And life has hiccups. And blessed for me, I was able to do a couple of things. I was able to go on ahead and get a completion program certificate from NYU for their Music Industries Essentials program. As of right now, I'm working back and forth with school, and I'm in the associate's program right now for Musicians Institute. So I'm kind of feeling myself, kind of feeling myself. And I wouldn't have been there. I wouldn't have been able to receive any of what I like to call blessings, you know, had I not been in a place of understanding myself. So that's really that's really what my channel is about. And I've been dealing with mental health my whole life. Like, I don't like we were kids. You feel me? In high school, we were kids. So you're not paying attention to like the people that be off the wazoo, the moods that be up and down. Like you don't pay attention to that. You're just like, we kids, we crazy, like this is what we're supposed to do.
right.
Some days I was with the shits, other days I was with the shits, other days I was not with the shits. Don't talk to me, don't look at me. I don't want to be bothered with anybody.
Right.
And I didn't understand. So 14, I was diagnosed with anxiety. The age of 8, I was diagnosed with depression. So it's just like I came to my mother and I was like, Mom, in the 6th grade, I came to her and told her straight up, I want to kill myself. She, I need to make an appointment. Yeah. Have me sit down and talk to somebody, girl, because
Right.
clearly someone isn't listening.
Right.
So that was the purpose of my platform. So you're gonna be on there next. And I like to create a safe space and a place for a conversation for the uncomfortable things that people don't want to talk about. Because everything that's uncomfortable is in conflict. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
my spiel.
Wow. It's one of those things over the last year, I would say a lot of the episodes I've done, we touched on mental health in some aspect because it wasn't something I was aware of. Like you said, when you're in high school, even a couple years, even that in college, you don't think about mental health. You never think about that. But as I interview people, especially older people, talking about the experience, whether it was military, suffering, traumatic,
Mhm.
life circumstances. Mental health is a big thing. And lately I've been talking a lot with certain people because it's something that, like you said, it's a mentality that you're taught and ingrained. It's like, with religion and certain things, you're always
Mhm.
ingrained in certain cultures and certain aspects. Um, like I said, one of the guys I just had on, he was in the military, and we was talking about that too, where the military for so long used methods to break people down and train them to be soldiers. But we've seen a lot of soldiers coming back home broken, mentally, mental health damaged. A lot of them have a lot of mental health issues that don't get resolved and cleared up. But now we're seeing a shift. We're seeing a paradigm now where the military is taking more of a respectful approach. More people are starting to talk about mental health and how important it is. So let me ask you, do you think that our generation is the catalyst of change for why mental health is becoming more recognizable and talked about and discussed?
Oh yeah, because we are very outspoken. We talk too much. That's our problem.
I
We
agree.
talk too much and we don't listen to nobody. Can't nobody tell us nothing. So it's like when growing up, because I know for me, being adopted, hey friend, being
Same.
adopted, my mom, she's older. She's like, bless her, she's older. So I grew up old school. So respect is a first, like, it's the first thing that you receive from me. And then after that, I'll pick up on your traits and I'm like, oh, no. So, but after a while, it's just like, okay, we're told what to do up to a certain point. And it's like, we went to school with so many different types of people, so
Right.
many different generations of parents. And it's like, we're like 15, somebody mama 32. And it's like, oh, okay. But my mother was like 15. So I'm like, huh? Y'all don't get that? So coming from that and not being spoken and always being told to stay in a child's place. And that may not have been everyone's experience, being told to stay in a child's place, speak when spoken to, being programmed,
Right.
just like what the military does or what they used to do. They would deprogram to reprogram you, but they never taught you how to cope with the traumas that come with the task behind being programmed a certain way.
Right.
So now, growing up, I remember vividly so many people committing suicide, so many people making jokes telling people to kill themselves. And it's just like, it's horrid. So now, y'all done fucked up with this social media. Because we are the goats. We are the goats. And y'all have given us a platform. We've taken these platforms and we're like, y'all tried to shut us down when we were kids. Y'all tried to tell us what to do when we were, and we're not respected now. So who are we gonna talk to? Let's talk to the world. Somebody is gonna click it. Somebody's gonna listen. Somebody gonna hear me. Somebody gonna press play.
Right. Ooh.
So without a doubt, yeah, without a doubt, hats off to us. Big
Absolutely.
facts.
Oh, that was wonderfully said. I think our generation really is coming up and showing that mental health is a big thing. And I really think it's due to the fact education, right? Because I think for the longest, a lot of people are treatment. Let me clarify this. I've never been depressed. I've never had anxiety. I don't know what it's like to have those type of issues, right? But working up and close for 4 years when I was in college, working up and close with people, schizophrenia, mental health, recovering addicts, and people from low income to barely surviving.
Yeah.
Meeting these people and learning about what they were going through, it really helped shape me to be who I am today. Because I feel like if I didn't go with that experience, I would think mental health is an excuse. Oh, another school shooter. Oh, that mental health is just nonsense. He's just making that up. And I'm not saying I condone what they have done, but mental health is a big thing. And I think now we're starting to see it, whether it's in a workplace. How many people, working 5 days a week, 2 days off, one day is used to clean the house and grocery shop, and another day you want to relax, but you have other stuff. So you don't really get a chance to cool down and, refocus, energize yourself. There's so much happening now that's being talked about and reworked and revision because we realize mental health is a big thing. A lot suicide just through the roof.
Mhm.
The amount of school shootings happening through the roof. The amount of murders and stuff happening on the street going through the roof, and it's all mental health. Um, Let me ask you though, because even though it is being talked about, it's still taboo. If you call out from work, they're gonna tell you mental health day. You gotta
Mhm.
bring yourself to work. Um, do you feel like this is just a process, even though we are starting the conversation, it won't be universally respected and recognized for another couple decades or maybe another generation or so forth?
Most definitely. And I say this all the time. I will say to everybody that came before us, thank y'all. Because we can choose to not go into work. We can choose to work for ourselves. We can
Mm-hmm.
choose to talk about what we're experiencing. We can make that choice. My mother's generation was not able to make that choice. My mother's biological kids, they weren't able to make that choice. So now we're in a position to where, I mean, maybe I'm a little boastful, but I feel like we're setting the blueprint for mental health to be respected and not dismissed, because it's dismissed. That's
Yeah.
all I heard you say, was that it's acknowledged but not respected. And once people realize, like, oh, this is really a thing, it's dismissed and viewed as an excuse.
Mm-hmm.
But we have the luxury of, I got a therapy appointment today. And if you can't respect that, I can find someone else to work that will.
That's
So
right.
now, I'm not gonna get emotional, but it's really heavy. It's heavy for the colored community. It's
Right.
heavy and it's a lot. It's a lot. It's acknowledged in the Caucasian community. You feel me? They'll put you on medication in a heartbeat. When I was in college, I remember going through some really traumatic shit, and I'm like at the health center, and I'm doing my talk therapy, and the first thing they did was give me a bottle of motherfucking pills. I
Yeah.
don't need no goddamn medication. I need somebody to help me.
Exactly.
Dismissing it. It was just dismissed. Take this, you'll be fine. You'll be able to go to class. You'll be able to focus. I don't want no ADHD medication, my girl.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I want to understand. But also in college, I was studying psychology. So my understanding was a little deeper. Like mine was a little deeper, and I've kind of always been like very spoken out, as you know, outspoken,
Yeah.
because I'm a speak out. And I've always like never kind of held my tongue, but I don't know. It's not anything I can control, you know?
Exactly.
So at this point, it's a beautiful thing watching people be able to call out childhood traumas. It's a beautiful thing watching people be able to call out narcissistic traumas and all of these different experiences that can build and create characteristics that are assisted by mental health concerns and issues. But then on the other side, on the flip side of that, it's like, oh, they're doing this for attention, exploitation. And I don't know necessarily what it's going to take, but what I will say is don't stop having a conversation. Don't stop talking about it. Don't stop speaking out. Don't. Because that's the only way that this is going to be respected. So
Right.
to everybody that came before us that they didn't have the opportunity to acknowledge that something was wrong because something being wrong was normal. Thank you. Like, I'll be the first to say thank you to my mama, because she went through things so that I would be able to sit here and have this conversation with you. Boy, it's Friday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Mom, I'm not at work.
Or drinking, but
Okay. Like, so yeah. I really believe that as long as we keep building awareness, it's like anything else. I remember in high school we did a performance for goddamn the Parkinson's.
right.
And now There's so much Parkinson's awareness. We were in high school 10 years ago, my kid. 10 years later. So, like you said, in the decades to come, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see. I'm excited for somebody to pull up one of your little clips and be like, yeah. So they was talking about this.
Right.
You know? So, damn, you asked some good questions. I
I,
like that.
it's because I gotta get the people what they want, and two, for me, I feel like when you talk about stuff like this, like I said, because I've touched on mental health in certain aspects, right? But you have to ask questions that aren't repetitive, and you know, one of the reasons why for me it's such important for me to talk about it is because, and it goes back to what you said, respected, because many people who's in my shoes, if you will, who's never had anxiety, a panic attack, some type of mental health issue, or just mental health is not where it needs to be. A lot of people, like I said, don't treat it with respect. It's like another excuse to call off, or they just want to stay at home and do nothing. It's just an excuse. But like I said, I think because I got to meet people, talk to people who experience this, even though I can't personally relate to all the stuff they've been through, I understand and I can recognize, hey, some people need to, speak out, which is why, for instance, Tyrese, right? The actor, everybody always makes fun of him. But after, taking psychology in college and learning about it, hey, that's a man who's asking for help, and people in society is treated as a joke. People are laughing at his pain, but look at Twitch. The guy from Ellen DeGeneres, famous dancer, he looked like life couldn't get any better for him. Always happy and dancing, and then he took his own life a couple months ago. It goes to show to you, when people need help, we shouldn't joke about it. We shouldn't make it a meme. And this leads me to my next question for you before we get to the big one: social media. Okay,
Can I say this real
yeah,
quick?
yeah.
With that being said, because it is dismissed so often, even if you're afraid, keep talking about it.
I agree.
Even if you're afraid, keep asking for help. Even if you feel embarrassed, keep talking about it. Keep asking for help. Keep growing. Keep allowing yourself to heal. Like, and I'm going to say it again. Even if you're afraid, keep talking about it. If you're embarrassed, keep talking about it. Keep asking for help, because that is the only way that it will not go unresolved. That's the only way it won't die out. We have to keep acknowledging it. So what you said, that's really it right there. Like, because honestly, I could sit here and talk about my experiences and have other people that experience what I experience on my channel all day. But it's the people that don't experience it but get to understand it and talk to other people that don't experience it. It's like allies. Like, you my ally, friend.
Right.
And we
Shout out,
need
right?
those. Like, we need those. We really
Right.
need somebody to say, I don't experience it, but I know it's real.
Right. Yeah, it's like I said, it's something that, and let me mention this too before I actually ask you this question. That's why this podcast for me has always been about authenticity and talking to everybody, because I don't want to be one of those podcasts where they only want to interview the biggest guests, the biggest names, the people that's going to bring, the numbers, right? Because at the end of the day, there are people. I remember this one girl I had like a year ago. Her episode, when I approached her about it, she was like, "Oh, nobody will never want to hear my story. Nobody never will." She came on, and it became probably my top 5 most listened to episodes. And when she got to hear, the feedback, her family, her friends listen to the episode and say, "Oh wow, I didn't believe you felt that way. This is incredible and powerful." It changed how she felt, mentally. She came stronger. She didn't feel like, she always, I think for her and for a lot of people, don't get the platform or just have someone they can talk to. And that's why for me it's important to keep it simple and talk to everybody, because like I said, I don't want to be one of those people who shun other people just because you're not gonna bring me the numbers I want. I'm gonna leave you over there.
Right.
No, this stuff you need to talk to everybody, because it
Everybody.
doesn't matter, right?
Okay.
Which leads me to my next question for you: social media, right? I've talked
Mhm.
about it up and down. I'm I use social media. I can't help it, but I have a balance. You know what I'm saying? I had a balance. Like when we was in high school, I didn't really, besides Facebook, I didn't really have social media. I wasn't really on there, but I'm seeing a trend now, and I've a couple episodes ago I touched on this, where our generation and younger have used it for very good stuff. Promote mental health, promoting positivity. Trying to promote healthy lifestyles and whatever the case may be. But on the flip side, there's many other people who are using it in a negative way, for
So
views, for click, trolling. And
yeah.
it seems like there's no balance in social media. Um, do you think social media is ruining or has helped mental health? Or do you think it's like 50-50?
Social media is a double-edged sword. It's a
Mm,
double-edged sword. And I'm trying to say this as politically correct as possible. Um, it's a double-edged sword. So let's talk about the glow up, right? When in high school, you got like 200 friends on Facebook. You get to
right.
college, you get bad, you got to glow up, you blow up.
Right.
The people that was in high school, they was lit, they was the hey cool,
Yeah.
and they they lit on social media. Now they got about maybe 200 followers.
Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword and it's constantly changing. And because it's technology based and not emotion based, you have to be able to think for yourself when it comes to social media. So I feel like social media is promoting authenticity. However, it's not real.
Right.
It's not real. It's not real. And that's what I have to tell myself. So, because I know it's not real, I can't get insulted if certain people aren't receptive or educated to my content.
Right.
Because what you post may not be your real life. And what people speak on may not be what they actually believe.
Agreed.
It's fluff. So it's like I feel like social media is like a whole nother industry. You feel me? Like you have film, you have music, you have television, then you got social media.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
feel like it's a completely different industry. And it's like, huh, you just busted my head. Because I ain't never thought of it like that. Like, but the fact of the matter is that it is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
And you have to know how to use it. Like, this gonna sound a little out there, but I was watching The Bride of Judy, right?
Right.
And Judy was saying pretty much like you have to evolve with the times. Like you have to keep up with the trends. 1 month is like a 60-second video is go to the next month 15 seconds may be what it is. That may be at the top of the algorithm. So it's like you really have to pay attention. And because people just see social media for what it presents and not for what it actually is, you got to play by the rules if you
Right.
want to be successful in that industry. So,
It is an industry, and it's what's funny that like this would have probably been 2 months ago, a month and a half. Me and Odie, we was sitting in such a part. We was talking about the entertainment and all that stuff, and we was talking about Instagram, and
mhm,
he was talking about how like he wished he would have capitalized on it. Using his followers to build the brand and the business. Which I mean, he still has that, so he's going to try to get into it. But he wished he would have
right,
gotten into it sooner. But he also said, I needed to take a break from it because you get even for me there. I had this week. I think I've been on social media for maybe 2 hours tops throughout the week, and so other weeks I'm on it 5-10 hours. And for me, it's that break. Like Jude, he always takes a break from Instagram.
okay,
I'll
my
talk to him all the time.
brother.
You know what I'm
Okay,
saying? And like he'll
you
he'll
like what's
he'll
loud, but you good. Mhm.
he'll literally we'll be in the middle of sending stuff to each other. Not that type of thing. Get that dirty stuff out of your heads. But he'll turn on. He'll go to private mode and he'll log off for like a week. You know, he'll come and say, "Yeah, man, I just need to take a break." I get that, and I think what you said. I think it is a double-edged sword, but it needs to be a balance. A lot of people don't have that balance. A lot of people conflate with conflate social media with reality. How many people judge their relationships based off another couple on Instagram? How many people compare
Relationship goals.
themselves? You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And and
Uh-huh.
and, and it doesn't help when you have celebrities with much bigger platforms. You know, my podcast, it could be as popular as it could be, but if Drake came out and said, something, people will listen to that, and you know what I'm saying. And I think when you have people like Steve Harvey giving out advice that's kind of outdated, so many people are looking at that as gospel, right? And that's no shade
Mhm.
to Steve Harvey, but his advice is a little outdated. It's 2023, man. This ain't the 1990s. But
Okay.
I think social media needs to be, people need to have a healthy balance, but a lot of people don't. I worked at a summer camp like a couple summers ago, and all the kids were under 13 years old. They all had TikTok, they all had Instagram, they all had Facebook. But when it came time to read, they couldn't read. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. But that's the society we're going into.
Yeah, at this point, if they got homework, put it on a Facebook post, put it in Instagram reel, because at this point,
Yeah.
yeah. And the only way to get that balance, what I said before, you got to talk about it. You got to make it a thing, like a movement. It has to be a movement. Like this mental health thing is a movement. It has to be a movement. You got to start shaking some tables, making some noise. Like, because I'm gonna be honest, social media is not healthy at all, especially
Right.
overindulging. And then it becomes like an obsessive thing. It's just too much for your girl sometimes. So what I did was I created a page and it's my escape. And it is called Anxious Discussions on Facebook. So whenever I feel like it's giving a fluff and a fugazi, I go on my page and I read the affirmations that I'm posting throughout the day, because that is the one thing that keeps me closest to my most authentic self. The social media thing is it's crazy, especially with like trying to make it in certain rooms with certain people to become a part of certain tax brackets.
Yeah.
It's a huge play. It's a huge play. Which is why I love the fact that you said you're not worried about who can bring numbers. Like, you just want to have a conversation. You just want to have a real conversation. And I
Right.
love that for whomever the guest was that you did have, that felt like her story wasn't gonna be heard. Like, nobody wants to listen to that, because the fact of the matter is that you can have somebody that has numbers and still not get those numbers rolling in once it airs. But you present that authenticity, you present that good conversation, that it is smooth, it rolls, it goes, and people are like, oh, okay.
So we are back. Shout out to Zoom for ruining the floor of things. But anyway, I do want to give a shout out to Hydro Flask. They keep me hydrated during my workouts, the podcast, amazing company. They always give me love. They always show me love on Instagram too. So check them out if you're in need for a new water bottle or any type of thing like that. Now, with that being said, let's move on to the next subject. Something we both feel is very important to us, which is the Supreme Court's ruling on affirmative action. So I have spoke about it briefly on the podcast before, but having a black woman on here, I feel like it would be stupid of me not to ask you. So the Supreme Court recently made the ruling about affirmative action, and they basically wiped it out, meaning that any chance that minorities, black people get to go to college, because of race and stuff like that, they don't want it a part of the application anymore. Race is not going to be a factor when it comes to colleges, and some people look at it and say, "Hey, great, race. We need to stop worrying about race." But then there's other people who say, "No, this is important because we have to look at statistically and historically why so many people of color aren't able to get to these colleges. So let me ask you, hearing about this and doing your own research on it, how do you feel about affirmative action and the Supreme Court's ruling to just get rid of it?
I feel like, in my opinion, it looks like we're going backwards. And I say that because affirmative action was put into place due to discrimination against people of color.
Exactly.
So you had your token students, your token actors, Tootie, you had certain things set into place that allotted representation for people of color. Now you're saying it's all based off of your grades, your SAT score, your essays, your recommendations. I, coming from high school, had not one recommendation but my guidance counselor. Okay? I was EOP. So you take away these extra opportunities that are put into place because I grew up sheltered. I wasn't put in positions to be able to mingle with other artists, mingle with other kids. I was at school, I was at home, I was at church, I was at work. That's all I was doing. I grew up very sheltered, and it was just like I wasn't able to just call someone and be like, "Hey, can I get a letter of recommendation for college?" That wasn't possible. So I was an EOP student at SUNY Oswego, EOP class of 2014. Okay.
Yeah.
So you take that away, it's like, damn, had I been inserted into college at this point, I wouldn't have had that opportunity. And I damn sure couldn't afford it.
Huh. Yep.
So I feel like it's going backwards. In my opinion, it's looking like a setup to
Mm-hmm.
do what's already been done. So let's remove it. Let's wipe it away. Let's have everyone forget about it and make it seem like it's for their greater good. And then, like you said earlier, based off of a name, they're gonna know you're Hispanic, you're Black. It's crazy. They're
Yeah.
gonna know, and I'm sure the name Taekwon with a GPA of a 3.9, they're gonna be like, we'll move him to the maybe pile,
Right.
but we'll keep him at the top of the maybe pile, going against little baby Michael or Zach. Let's go with Zach.
Augustine.
Or Guster. Okay, let's go. I like that one. Let's go, Gusta. I love it, Gusta. Like I'm probably like 2.7, but everybody loves him at the school. He's the head of the football team. He's maintained that above 2.5 GPA to stay on the team. All right, cool. Ship out his admissions letter. It's a little scary. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for my little Black nephew. I'm afraid. I'm afraid for my future kids. It's a little scary.
Yeah.
So I
I don't
I
blame
don't like it.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I think a lot of people are looking at this in a selfish way, like, hey, I already did my time. I don't really care what's going on. And I think that's a bad thing to go about it. Just because you graduated, college 30 years ago, don't mean you shouldn't care about what other people aren't going through, because you're gonna have kids that go into college. You're gonna have grandchildren, great great grandchildren. This is stuff that's going to impact them, and I think a lot of people look at it as this not affecting me, so why should I care? But you should, because at the end of the day, what if you want to go back to school, or
Okay.
you have family, or whatever the case may be? And it's one of those things where I understand why some people might feel, let's stop talking about race, because every time I turn around, race is being thrown into everything. I get that point. But when it comes to college, it is a big thing, because many schools, especially when we're talking about the top of the top schools, a lot of them have generational wealth, meaning they're some of the students' parents went there, they donate a lot of money, so they don't really have to go through the academic process because they're
I
already
can see.
grandfathered in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there's much more things we need to worry about besides this, because this was actually something to help other people get into this, get into college. You know, I look at it in the entertainment industry. A lot of companies, ABC, Disney, NBC, they have diversity programs so people of color can come in, learn the business, and get their foot in the door. Because without that, historically, we all know what the entertainment industry has been like. And as someone who's been in it, not obviously I haven't been in it when it was at its peak. I came in kind of when the diversity started happening. Win-win. But
That
you know,
part.
you know what I'm saying?
Perfect
20
timing.
years ago, 20 years ago, you know, it was hard. So I think people are looking at it selfishly. And also, you know what? Let's talk about it too, because it involves the Supreme Court too. Student loans, right? We went to college. I was in HEOP, using EOP.
Mm-hmm.
We, you know, a lot of people had to take out student loans, whether you got a scholarship or not. Many people took out student loans. Now, Joe Biden, you know, did his whole spiel about the student loan forgiveness. Supreme Court just striked it down. How do you feel about that? Because, like, you know, some people say, hey, you took out the loans, you pay it back. Some people say, hey, I didn't realize I was going to be paying all this money. I wasn't taught the import of, you know, what this loan was, and that I was going to have
Mm-hmm.
to pay it back. How do you feel about student loan forgiveness?
I feel like I need a six-figure job right now. Because it's giving, they're going to be popping up under the grass in front of my house. Hello, ma'am, we've been trying to contact you about your paybacks for your loan. Who's really banking on that loan forgiveness? That's how
Yeah.
I feel. I was really banking on that. And it's like, you got teachers that's still paying off student loans. You have retired teachers that's still paying Sally Mae back. Like, I feel like it would have done a lot of good for the people. But the pandemic fucked some shit up.
Yep.
And they trying to find a way to get their money back. And unfortunately, it is at the cost of the people who chose higher education.
Yeah. You know, I, to be honest with you, I've been on like the middle, because on one hand, I'm fortunate to be lucky enough not to graduate with too much student debt.
Yeah.
So I still got some, but I'm also not going to be worried about paying it for the rest of my life. That I
Right.
know a lot of other people will be. But at the same time, I also see, you know, one of the reasons why I'm like in the middle is because a lot of people are choosing to go to these Ivy League schools for a theater degree, right? Which I'm not knocking. I went to school for theater, but I looked at it objectively. You know, any school I applied to, I usually, if I didn't get a scholarship, I was going to. UCLA was my number one choice. I didn't get the
Mhm.
scholarship, so I didn't go. But a lot of people choose to go to the, you know, NYU, all of these fancy schools for, and just not knocking anybody. But why are you going to NYU for a theology degree to work at a library? I mean, you're taking out all this money, um, you know, for a degree that is not going to, if you're in business, finance, the you know, what is it, STEM? If you're not in STEM and you're
Mhm.
taking out
Mhm.
hundreds and thousands of dollars in student loans, you really need to reevaluate your priorities. But at the same time, which I said earlier, a lot of people aren't educated. I didn't realize I was taking out loans until, you know, what was it? It was like April 2018 when they sat us down and said, "Hey, so this is your entry, your leaving away for college, leaving college. Here's your what do they call it? It's like a class, your class for when you're about to leave, the things you need to know." And they
Yeah,
talk
and they
about
hold it up
student
with
loan.
your resume and student loans and how much on each student loan is presented for you to,
Yeah,
yeah, you
I didn't even realize it was a loan until I read that. I said, "What? I gotta pay this back."
you got free money.
I'm like, I thought it was on a scholarship. I thought he was paying it all. It's crap. But that's the thing I also agree with. A lot of people are signing this, you know, 17, 18 years old. you're not really thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking out $300,000 right now. A lot of people don't think like that, and it's a double-edged sword because I do feel for people in that situation, but then there's also other people who went to college, drank and smoked their way through it, not put enough effort, and now because life isn't turned out the way they want all these student loans forgiven because it didn't turn out the way they wanted. So it's like on one hand, it's like yes, I do. I ultimately I still want it to happen. I still want it to happen because just because those people did what they did don't mean everybody else has to suffer. To be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you, I thought it was too good to be true. I didn't think it was gonna happen. I felt like anything that's too good to be true usually turns out not. It usually turns out to be exactly that. And I'm hearing rumors and whispers that there's maybe another plan that can get passed, but again, I've told people don't get your hopes up. Don't go buying that car that you've been wanting since the pandemic. Because if they say no, you're going to be stuck with that bill. And right now, it's looking like October, I think, is the repayment date. So, strap in because it's been 3 years. I forgot what paying student loans felt like.
No, for real. Like for real, for real. For real.
It's about to
And
suck.
and I get what you're saying. Like you're saying like I finished. You're like, I deserve my loans to be forgiven. I sweat and I cried over this degree. I get what you're saying. And there are other people that showed up for not the education. And they're like, damn, I can't pay this money back. I gotta get my credit up. I need this off my
Right.
oh yeah, it's giving student loan forgiveness. So it's kind of like mm, mm,
Right. And also too, people don't realize this will cause an effect. Nothing. One
yeah,
thing I've learned as a kid: nothing is free. I don't care what it is. Someone give me an apple slice. They're gonna ask for something 5 minutes from now.
yeah.
For that apple slice. So nothing is free. So yeah, even if they do go about it, just realize it's going to make its way. It's like when you hear about these deals on rent and whatever. Oh yeah, we'll take off. You go to a car dealership, we'll take off $1,000 off the car. So, but then you don't realize your interest rate just tripled.
Crazy,
You know what I'm saying? So it
crazy.
always, that's another thing too. Where's that money going? They're not
Mhm.
gonna just erase that money. It's gonna disappear like a magic trick. They're gonna sneak it somewhere. So inflation right
Mhm.
now is through the roof. I know
Yeah,
gas in LA is almost $7. In certain areas, $8. You know, they're gonna have to make up that difference somehow. So it might be
yeah.
gas, groceries, rent. It's gonna come somewhere. So I don't know, but I this is an important lesson for the future generations. It's our duty. Well, we're still on the young side, but people who have children right now and all that stuff, it's their duty to let them know, hey, this is what you're signing up for when we go to college. Because a lot of people don't know. There's people in their 30s and 40s that don't know what a credit score is.
No, for real.
So financial literacy is a huge thing. And I think that
Yes,
also
it
plays into
is.
mental health. That also
Yes,
plays into mental
it
health. A lot
does.
of
And
people.
the mindset,
Mhm.
like, huh? Yeah, I try not to get into that because that's a conversation that I have with my partner all the time. Like, I am annoying, and I'm just like, we got to change the mindset because I don't got no broke bitch mindset. I
Yeah.
came from the hood, but I don't got that mindset. And that's just how I'm set up. Like, and I wish somebody would have sat me down and said, you got work study. If you take your work study checks and put them towards your student loan, it's okay that you don't have that money. And you're not there to really have that much fun. Anyway, you're there to do your homework.
Exactly.
When you graduate, you don't have any student loans. When that refund come in, put that toward your student loans. Say you don't want that in your pocket. It is very important to educate yourself. And it's very important to educate yourself so much so that everyone attached to you can be educated as well. Because my mother's biological kids, um, one of them, she went to college and she was like student loans and the whole thing. And shouts to her, she got a PhD. Shorty a doctor.
Ooh,
Shouts to her.
Money, money, money.
Yeah. Boy, you know she's still paying them loans.
Yeah.
She's still paying them loans. And it's just like she knew that you sign the paper, you go to school, and a couple of years later they can call you asking back for the money. She didn't know that there were so many preventative measures that could have been taken to avoid them phone calls from Sally Mae.
Right.
So, and I didn't learn that until I was like a sophomore in college. Like, you know, you gotta have your work study check that you're getting from financial aid sent
Right.
to your refund doesn't have to go in your pocket. It's a lot of things that can be done. So, man,
Yeah. You're right. It's this all ties back to mental health too, because I heard a saying before, money isn't root money isn't the root of all evil. It's the lack of money. So, a lot of people, you give someone who's never had much, and I use rappers for instance because we see it all the time. You take somebody who's only used to making $2,000 a month, right? And most of that goes to rent and all that stuff. So, not really getting much left over, right? You take that same person and you give them, you flash $1 million in front of their face, they're gonna just sign anything, because they're looking at it like, this is it. This is what I've been waiting for. But then you don't realize you got to pay all that back. Same, it happens in the music industry too. And a lot of people don't realize when you're taking out these loans, when you're 16, 17, 18 years old, you're not thinking, I got to pay this back. You're thinking, I'm about to have time, party, girl, drinking, smoking, dancing, all this good stuff until
and by
4 years
the time
later.
I graduate, I'm gonna be making six figures because that's what y'all promising me
Exactly.
by educating myself in higher education. And you
And
working at McDonald's flipping burgers, waiting to hear back from your dream job.
exactly. And that's the
Oh,
sad part. That's the sad part. How many people have these degrees and working minimum wage jobs because the job market isn't what it is. Now with technology, a lot of positions are being erased anyway. It's kind of hard to get a job at McDonald's, which is
yeah.
kind of crazy because now AI, they got robots and stuff that can do most of the work.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. And I think financial literacy is, I've advocated this. I had a teacher on a podcast like almost 2 years ago, but financial classes need to be taught, so people, when they go into colleges and all this stuff, they understand the financial repercussions of it. Yeah, you want that shiny new car? Yeah, go ahead. Just know when you take out that loan and that interest rate and that monthly payment hits, that's
That
on
car
you.
note. That
Exactly.
car note. You gonna want to leave a note.
that
Or no.
that
That
was
car
smooth. I like that.
it is. Okay. Now for
You're
real.
gonna
And
want to leave a note. That was smooth. I like it.
to be transparent with you, I didn't even know that financial literacy was a term. I did not think that you could ever put financial and literacy in the same phrase and it would actually mean something that could save and change your life. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't learn that term until 2 years ago. And I really had to take my time and be like, what is this? How does it work? And it's like, damn, now I'm gonna be dead ass right now. I feel like I have so much goddamn financial literacy. My nephew gonna be straight by the time he's 16. You feel me? Credit through motherfucking roof. I'm excited. Okay. Y'all done fucked up because y'all sold the game for free out here.
Yeah.
Like, but a lot of people don't have that. And I know the most common thing in the black community and like just with minorities, at least in in my class of the black community, is like nobody teaches you how to keep your money. They teach you how to make your money, but they don't teach you how to keep it. They don't teach you how to make sure you're doing everything correct. It's not taught. So people kind of have to make mistakes and they end up filing for bankruptcy. They end up losing everything to have to bounce back from that. And they're just like, well, nobody taught me. I was learning along the way.
Mm-hmm.
I had to fail. I had to mess up to learn. And I don't I don't want that for my nephew. I don't want that for my future kids. I don't want that for my future nieces and nephews.
Right.
I want them to have the same understanding that somebody who didn't come from my class, a higher class, they came from a higher class. I want them to be able to have that same conversation. And it's like, oh, well, you must be from, nah, my mama, my aunt, they are from the hood, okay? They're from that section 8, okay? For real.
Yeah.
But it hurts. It's like, damn, like, then you start realizing there's just certain things that are not given, certain resources that are not given. Like, even in the textbooks at the schools, public schools and private school textbooks are completely different.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm excited. I can't
Yeah.
wait for my
No,
little king and queens.
it's a conversation that it's something you had said earlier about mental health is being in touch with yourself and that stuff too. That's part of growth, right? And that's why so many people ask me for advice because well, first of all, a lot of people think I'm in my 30s, which is kind of weird, but I can understand why. I do come off a little more
You
knowledgeable,
got an
but
old soul. You've always had an old soul. That's one thing I could say that we know about each other. We
that's
are
true.
very mature. We've always been like a little more elevated, a little bit more aware than our age, our peers.
I agree
So
with that. Yeah, am I also? I don't know. Sometimes I do take a nap. I'm probably gonna take a nap after. Nah. um, but no, it's one of those things like financial literacy. I still have family members twice my age ask me about credit scores and lines of credit and all that stuff because they don't know. 2 summers ago it was the first time my adopted mom ever opened up about her childhood and the things she grew up in, and it made sense now when she opened up finally and told me about certain things. I see why she don't think the way I do because I was able to escape and learn. She didn't get that chance, and your childhood. And one of the reasons why I loved taking psychology and sociology, um, was I got to understand the human brain. Our childhoods, what we learn as kids, shape us to who we are as an adult. Now, as an adult, you can find ways to, fine tune it or, make your life a little easier. But it does play a part in who you become and how you look at life. And I think that's part of mental health because for her, finally, in her 60s, finally seeing how her childhood does play a part in how she is, I
mhm.
think was a big thing for her. Now, is she going to change? Probably not. She's at the age, you
She's
know, she
stuck
at the
here.
age,
Yeah.
it is what it is. It is what it is. But at least she had that conversation. And a lot of people don't have parents who would ever talk to them like that. They will keep it, closed off. They won't say nothing. And they never get that one-on-one, which is important. So even if me and my mom don't go out to lunch every day, at least I understand how she felt when I was growing up as a kid. Now that all makes sense. That why she
Mhm.
sees things the way she is. That why she acts that way. So even if we don't
100%.
see eye to eye, you know,
I love it because that was how I started on my healing journey. I had to understand the people that were responsible for my childhood before I could understand myself because I had to forgive to understand myself. And after that, I became so self-aware. Like it honestly was annoying. I'm one of those people now. Like in high school, I used to like fly off the handle and say anything. Now I'm like, are you in a position to make that comment? You've been there before. Shut up, sit down. Like you are in no position to pass judgment. So it's I love this thing, and it's gotten more common over the years. It's her story that makes your story.
that's
So
beautiful.
yeah, because that molds you. And it's like, I mean, I grew up in the church. You know, in church, everybody
Oh yeah, I miss those days.
yourself. So I'm like, your shoes is 120? Yes, girl. Like, and people looking at me like, you really about to spend bread on a pair of shoes? I am. Because guess what? These calves and these toes gonna be looking good in them. But because I grew up around people who like to flaunt, they'd rather
Right.
spend a little bit of extra money on how they look than what they did during the week. It broke that mentality that was I feel like being programmed in my mind. Like I was we were being raised to believe that like you can do anything, but the odds of doing anything in your favor is very slim to none.
Oh yeah. You
So
know,
I had to break out of that and I had to envision myself in the life that I saw for myself and then break the steps that it took to get there down. And I would say I'm doing pretty well. I feel like I started late. My girlfriend say I started real young, but I feel like I started late because I feel like watching everyone else's success come to the front and the forefront is like, damn, what did I not get? But I know that my process and my progress looks completely different from yours and
right.
vice versa. So, yeah.
Now your girlfriend is right. You know, it's everybody's journey is going to be different, right? And that's why I had mentioned social media because we're living in a society now. Everybody's judging their way of life compared to everybody else. All right, I'm 21. Why is Mr. Beast over here making millions of dollars and I'm still working at McDonald's? Well, your situation is different. He had a whole different setup going on than you, and I think that's what's important. I think you might feel that way just because you might see how other people, just to backtrack a little bit. I remember having this conversation LA like last year when I was working. Some kid used to ask me about acting and stuff. And I told him, I'm like, look, you look at these red carpet pictures, your favorite actors and all that stuff, and you like, I want to be like them. But just know a lot of them started where you were too.
Mm-hmm.
Terry Crews he was mopping floors. He was a janitor. Some of them were homeless. Some of them was working McDonald's flipping cheeseburgers. Mark
Mm-hmm.
Wahlberg, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was working at a fast food joint. So
Mm-hmm.
everybody's journey is different. Now you might look at it now, at a young age, saying, "Oh, these guys making millions and they flying private jets." You're gonna get there. Everybody's journey is different, especially if you have parents who can finance your journey. If you don't
Mm-hmm.
have that, it's probably gonna be a little different. But
Upbringing.
regardless, you know what I'm saying? You shouldn't compare yourself. I always say this all the time because I used to do it with Odie. I was talking to Odie about that day we were sitting in such part. I used to always compare myself, not in a negative thing, but I was like, man, like in high school, he used to tell me all the stuff he was doing. I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. But then I remember our journeys are different. He's been doing it way before I was. So it's different. And I think anybody who takes away from anything from this, live your own lane, stay in your own lane, and live your own life. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Do what you got to do and focus on yourself. Am I right? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
That's
I
what I'm
say all
talking
the
about.
time, I literally have a lyric in a song, and I say, their prime isn't your time, and their
Ooh,
time is not your prime. So receive the journey as it comes because that's the part that you talk about. You don't talk about the stuff that you get when you have it. You talk about how you got there. That's what these people that we love to watch on television, that's
yeah.
what they're talking about. They're talking about their journey, the successes we see, but the downfalls and the setbacks, that's what makes the difference. So you said it. Amen. Trust
Amen.
your process and you got to be able to receive your progress.
Amen to that.
And keep discussions on Facebook anxious discussions on Facebook. Literally, this is literally what the whole page is. That's all I post. That's all I post. Are you hitting points? You want to be an admin? What's up?
Hey, sign me up. You know what I'm saying? This the part. Like I think this is a beautiful discussion. I'm gonna have you on again. We're gonna talk about some other stuff too. But like I said, you mentioned Facebook group and all that stuff. So what can people expect from you on your YouTube channel, your socials, where people can find you? What can people look forward to when they check you out?
So, like we have said a million times, very huge on mental health. My channel, the next thing I will be bringing up is mental health in the Christian community.
Interesting.
Because my mom is a minister
Ooh, I
and
didn't know
I'm
that.
gay. Yeah, and I'm gay. So tune in for that. If you want to tap into, I feel like that would be a really good conversation for us. So I'm gonna send you an email when we get done because I already have the content built out.
All right, so let me
Okay.
know. Let me
So
know.
stay tuned for that. Taekwon and Becca coming real soon. Percy and Becca. B&B. Come on. Come on. That and just working on really I don't want to say perfecting my craft, but growing my craft in music, my songwriting and stuff like that. So I do have a few features out.
Uh-oh, I see you.
Yeah. Got a few features out. And what I'll do is go on ahead and post a link to those on my link tree, which is in my Heart for Music Instagram bio. And my Healing with Becca YouTube channel is in my Healing with Becca Instagram bio as well. So start with grief and join the conversation. And if you don't want to start with grief, Mike, tell me, I don't want to talk about this. Drop some topics y'all want to hear me talk about. Drop some topics y'all want to hear a conversation about. Because as much as it's for me, it's for all of us.
Exactly.
So I'm excited. I'm excited to see where your journey takes you. I'm excited to see the accolades and the respect and the hype that comes with everything you're doing. Good work.
I appreciate that. Go work. You know what's funny? Just last night, I was sitting down. I was thinking about high school. For some reason, over the last couple years, I've been doing that, and it's always nice to see, people doing well, especially you. Your own journey, doing your own thing. You're doing something that's very positive and life changing. I think it's something that needs to be respected, especially as a Black woman, because like you said, it's taboo in our community, and we need more people to advocate for mental health and start the discussions and have people come on and share the experience. Because unless that happens, nothing's going to change. It's going to be a repeated cycle of rinse and repeat. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. 10 years. Well, we would have graduated 10 years ago
Next
next
year.
year, but
Yeah.
it's crazy to see how that you're doing well. You're doing your thing and you're killing it. You're about to make a lot of money, so you will be able to afford to pay me my $5,000. But
Speak it. Okay? Sure, he
hey,
said we're gonna play card roulette. Who
that's
speak it?
awesome. Hey, what is what? I always hear this: manifest what you want. I'm manifesting. I want $10,000 right now, but can't always have
Listen.
what we want.
Yes,
Oh,
this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for, having this platform and
absolutely.
creating this platform. Like this, this is that Percy Brown shit. What's up? He just doing Percy shit. Any questions about it? The answer is it's Percy shit.
Exactly. See, you get
What's
it.
up?
That's the bottom line because Rebecca says so. And if you got any questions, my security, my manager will reach out to you. But
Okay.
you know, yeah, thank you. I appreciate you reaching out and asking to come on because like I said, my mission is always to get more diverse voices on here. And
Mm-hmm.
this is a subject like I said, I have always have a lot of guys on, which is fantastic. But like I said, I'm sure there's a lot of listeners and other women who wants to hear women talking about the same things too, because it's different opinions. And yeah.
Yeah, no, you just like made a light bulb go off in my head because I only have females on my channel. So you will be the first male. I only have females on my channel. Yeah.
You
You'll
know
be the
what?
first man.
I'm trying
Come
to
on,
live a
black
life of
man.
breaking records. I'm trying to.
Stop. Listen, love him, hate him, love me, hate me. You won't respect it because it's real.
Oh, amen to that.
It's
Oh my
real.
God. And with that, we can't top that off. We're gonna leave it like that. You know, I'm gonna leave Rebecca's stuff in the description of this episode. I hope everybody had a great time listening to it. If you made it this far, definitely, like I said, go to IMDb, type in the Prince of Fresh Air, or you could just Google the podcast. Or if you want to see this beautiful hair, you could type in Percy Brown, Google, and find it that way. I'll leave a review. Let me know your thoughts and your opinions. And like I said, Rebecca, you will be back on. We have a lot more other stuff I want to talk about and cover. But like I always say, a helping hand is a better hand. It's Friday. The drinks are coming. We're pouring our
Okay.
shots, and we get
Okay.
the hell out of here.
Okay.